Hello and welcome to our podcast for today. I'm Janet McKee, speaker, best-selling author, wellness expert, success coach, founder of SanaView with my partner in crime,
And
my
your
business
son.
partner, and my son, Nathan McKee, here to take you today from horrible to happy. Just to remind you, we get together every week and have these incredible conversations where we talk about how we're using the very things that we teach and inspire others to help them improve their lives, and how we incorporate them in our lives and how we're practicing them ourselves. We are students of our own teachings. And every week we have these really cool, in-depth, heart-to-heart conversations about how we're using these teachings to improve our lives. Mm-hmm. And we realized after doing it for about a year that we need to share these with you and get you involved in these conversations, because it's the practice of using these teachings and applying them to your life that really gets you from where you are now to where you want to be. And today, that's going to be from horrible to happy. Mm-hmm. Is going to be what we're going to talk about today.
I think it's a good one. It's definitely a good one.
Nathan.
Of course.
I love it so much working with you. And you're just awesome handling all the technology, all the videography, everything that I can't handle with the business.
It's a good time.
So last week we were meeting with you right before I went to Santa Barbara, California to meet with Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield, multi-million best-selling author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series and many other great books, invited me and a group of other authors, a small group, to sit with him in his home for 2 days. We literally were there from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., 2 days straight, where he really worked with us on the books that we're writing and helped us gain clarity on what it was we were wanting to accomplish and how to do the best that we could with those. And again, those opportunities never used to happen for me before until I started to apply these principles that I'm writing about in my next upcoming book. And that is what's so powerful. When we change the way we live, we change the way we think, we change our thoughts, our feelings, and our energy, everything opens up in our lives as opposed to living a life of stress and struggle. And I know this very personally. And of course, Nathan, you were with me through all of this. When I faced probably one of the biggest challenges of my life was when my husband, your father, walked out in about an hour's notice and left me not only heartbroken, very depressed, but facing financial concern as well. Mm-hmm. Because a few years prior to him leaving, he put liens on all of the investment properties that we developed together while you were growing up. We'll talk about that in one of the podcasts. To buy a business. At the time he was leaving, the business was failing. And so these investment properties that we developed for financial security for our family were at risk. And I felt like I was standing on thin ice. And I also felt like the roof above our heads was a house of cards, because he also put a lien on the home that we lived in. So not only was I completely depressed and heartbroken, family was ripped apart, but I was extremely fearful over financial stability and became extremely depressed for an entire year. I literally cried every day for an entire year. I don't know if you knew that while that was happening. I think I tried to hide some of that from you.
You were pretty good at hiding that. I definitely didn't pick up on that without you saying anything.
But you knew your mom was not good. Your mom was kind of angry and resentful and all of these negative things that were going on with me. Mm-hmm. It was a day 365, after crying every day for an entire year after that I said to myself, okay, wait a minute. I used to be a happy, healthy, vibrant, successful woman. And I needed to get back to that. So I had to find answers. I had to find solutions. So I figuratively went out around the world, studied with masters in success, abundance, achievement, high performance. And each one, I've talked about this, was like a delicious morsel that I would taste and savor. And I would see some improvements in my life, but I still wasn't getting to where I ultimately thought I could be in my life, or was hoping that I could reach levels that were greater than what I was experiencing. It wasn't until I figured out how to put it all together in this amazing recipe that I began to see incredible shifts in my life. And it's these shifts in my life that I began to share with others, and my clients also began to experience incredible levels of success, far greater than I ever expected for myself and my clients ever expected. And that's, for example, how I ended up at Jack Canfield's house last week. Like, those opportunities never used to happen for me. But it's because of this challenge that I went through, this incredibly deep struggle. Affected me emotionally, mentally, it affected me financially. Like, everything that was key in my life was crumbling, except for you. And thank goodness that you were there for me, Nathan, through all of that. And still are, by the way, which I'm so blessed and so grateful for. But today I realize that this challenge that I was put through created an opportunity for me to truly grow and expand. And now, even though my life isn't perfect on paper, I am happier than I've ever been. And I enjoy every day. And I look forward to what every day is bringing and offering with eager anticipation. It's really fantastic. And so we've often talked about when we're having a challenge on any given day, we are struggling with something that's causing us to feel stressed, that we need to change the way we're looking at that challenge. And this is the tool that I want to share with our listening audience today, is when you have a situation that is making you feel uncomfortable, making you upset, stressed out, whatever that is. Number one, and we spoke to you last time, make sure you check out our podcast from last week about first being aware that you're having those thoughts, and it's a thought that you're choosing. And that awareness first, when you bring the light of awareness to something, you can begin to shift it. The next step is to make that shift.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's the point of this podcast, is to teach how to do that.
Exactly. And with my book coming out titled Stressless Success, we call this the Stressless Success Shift. And the shift is the key tool that we want you to take with you today and use the rest of your life. So when we have a challenge, we then want you to begin to say, okay, something has happened. I accept it. There's nothing I can do about it. It's a fact. It's occurred. Okay. And that kind of brings you to a neutral place. And then from there, you want to start asking yourself questions like, okay, what is this challenge showing me? What is it teaching me? What may I learn from this that's going to benefit me going forward? What good may come of this? And when you begin to ask yourself these questions, it eases that feeling of stress that you're feeling, and that begins to shift you on the inside from a low level of fear, anger, frustration to a place of neutrality. It's like acceptance, and you're reaching this place that's neutral. And then from there, you can begin to climb the ladder to greater and greater levels of thought, of feeling, and of being. And that's what creates a better life. So I love the fact that last time we talked about the time when we went on a trip to Hawaii. And a lot of people said after, well, sure, you were feeling great when you were in Hawaii. You probably have all this money and you go on this fancy trip. And it's like, no, we didn't have a lot of money back then. I had quit the corporate world after I had you because I wanted to be there with you and I was raising you. So I didn't have the same kind of money that I used to have when I was working full time for Oracle. But you had this dream. You told me you had this dream that you wanted to go to Hawaii. You even drew this picture.
It was on Microsoft Paint on a computer, I think. I can't remember if it was a school computer or if it was the one that was here. But yeah, no, it was my vision of what a luau looked like without ever having seen one before.
Exactly.
That's pretty funny.
I love that it was a string of lights.
Yeah, it was like a tent with a string of lights, and I think I had, some food out on a table in front of it or something. It was pretty basic, but got the point across.
But it got the point across. And I remember looking at this picture thinking to myself, this kid thinks he wants to go to Hawaii. That's not going to happen anytime soon. We don't have the money to be going off to Hawaii. But somehow that image you had created an energy between us, I guess, that we began to look into how to get to Hawaii. And I remember I found flights that were really affordable. And then I searched online for a place that we could stay that was very affordable. I remember it was like this condo. It had a kitchen and a living room. Right.
There was a lot of space.
But it was on the ocean, and we had a view of the ocean, which was incredible, but it was like at the very end.
Quiet part of the beach.
Which was also outstanding.
Yeah, it was great.
And I remember I was trying so carefully to go on this trip on a budget and save every penny that I rented online the cheapest rental car I could possibly find. So we fly to Hawaii, we get off the plane, and we head to the rental car counter to get our cheap rental car. And if you remember from last time, Nathan is a car enthusiast. He was born that way. We don't know where that came from or how, but major car enthusiast.
For sure.
But his mom, trying to save money, rented what we called the ugliest car ever made.
It was, it was a very interesting color. It was like a teal blue or like an ocean blue or something. But even that I would say is a little bit too nice to say about the shade of the blue of the car. But
it was obnoxious aqua blue.
Yeah, it was just like, it was a really bad color. And it was a little Chevy Aveo economy car. And it was just, it was a dorky little thing. It was not what you would think of driving around in if you were going to go to Hawaii. That is for sure.
So they pull up with this car, and I was, oh no. My son is a car enthusiast, and I just rented the ugliest car ever made. But that's what you do when you're on a budget. That's so right. I said, well, Nathan, someday we'll be able to afford better than this. But this is what we got. We got to make the best of it. So we're tooling around Maui in this little dorky aqua blue thing.
Yep.
And remember the day we're driving somewhere, maybe it was to Lua. And I remember the mountains on one side, the ocean on the other, and we're driving along in our dinky little aqua blue.
At least the scenery was good.
Yeah.
The scenery was good. In the car, not so much.
Then all of a sudden, a rock flies up from the truck in front of us, cracks our windshield,
right,
shatters it. And I'm like, oh no, don't even tell me. Here I am thinking I'm trying to save money to rent the cheapest, ugliest rental car ever made. And now we're going to have to go back to the rental car agency. It's probably going to cost me thousands of dollars to fix this windshield. It was dreadful. I was stressed out.
That's the horrible part in From Horrible to Happy is the way in which, we reacted to the situation. It was, we were trying to be as financially conscious as we could. And then this thing happens and it's on the surface horrible because, you don't know if we have to pay for a new windshield or what how that whole thing was going to work. So that is the horrible in the horrible to happy podcast episode.
So I drive. I'm like, well, Nathan, we're going to get back to the rental car company. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to do to us, but I was really not feeling too happy at the moment. And we're driving our little dorky car back to the rental car company. And we said to the guy, I'm sorry, the rock came from the truck in front of us. And I don't know, what are we going to do? And he said, well, that's okay. It's not your fault. There's nothing you can do about it. This happens. The problem is we only have one car left for you to rent.
Happened to be a convertible Ford Mustang, which is quite the upgrade from the Chevy Aveo.
Convertible Mustang in Maui. Can you even believe?
The last car they had in the lot.
All of a sudden, we were okay. This must have happened for a reason.
Not so horrible anymore.
And we learned how to do the convertible top, and it was all automated. I remember we had to unlatch those big metal latches, and the thing went shh.
Yep.
Were we now driving in style in Hawaii, in Maui? So let's look at this. Let's dissect this situation.
Right.
We had a problem. It caused us stress, struggle, upset, fear.
And I just want to say that is on us, right? So the way in which we reacted to that situation is all on us. Not everybody would have felt the same way that we did. Sure, it's not something to like jump for joy over smashing your windshield, but it was the way in which we reacted to that situation that made it less than ideal, right?
So what we could have done, now that we know better, now that we've learned,
right,
is we could have just said, take a deep breath. And instead of being in reverse, shift to neutral. Instead of going back and saying, oh no, this is awful.
Freaking out, right.
Shift to neutral. And how do you shift to neutral? You say, okay, this happened. It was out of our control. Nothing we can do about it. We just could have accepted it. And by accepting it, we would have elevated our thoughts, our feelings, our energy level, and would have felt better at the moment. And that's key number one. Instead of living, reacting to stress and struggle,
right,
or reacting with stress and struggle, right? It's like you have a situation, again, first be aware of how are you reacting to it. And that comes from the thoughts that we're choosing. And then how to get to acceptance and neutral. And then climb from there, climb the ladder to say, okay, I wonder what good may come of this.
Right.
And if we were aware, as aware as we are today at the moment, we would have realized very quickly, oh, maybe this gets us out of this
Yeah, for
aqua
sure.
blue Chevy Aveo, the ugliest car ever made.
And for anybody who did not listen to the podcast last week, that was all about awareness. So I would suggest that you go back and give that a listen if you haven't already.
Absolutely. If we begin to live a life where all of our challenges, all of our struggles, everything that is creating stress in our minds may be just there for a reason, to teach us something, to show us something, to offer us something possibly even better. Do you realize that I'm actually grateful today to my ex-husband, your father, for leaving? Because if it wasn't for putting me through that lesson, I would never be living the life that I live today. I would never be so aware of my thoughts. I would never have learned this tool of shifting my thoughts in a way that feels better, that elevates me, and therefore elevates my entire life. I wouldn't be here right now today with you, Nathan, sharing with our audience how to live a better life, how to go from horrible to happy if it wasn't for that experience in my life. I literally am grateful to my ex-husband.
I think at the very least, it gives us all an opportunity to grow as individuals too. So you might not always have your Chevy Aveo to convertible Mustang moment where it's like, there is some sort of physical, financial, whatever it be, benefit. But let's say, given the same situation with the cracked windshield, if we even had to go back and pay for the windshield and then we still were in the same car for the rest of the trip, at the very least, we could then take that as a moment to become more aware of how we reacted and know that the reaction isn't going to change the situation at all. So that the next time that we have something like that, we know that thinking a more positive thought about the situation at the very least is going to feel better than getting all stressed out about it, because it's not worth the anger and the frustration.
And when you feel better, that's the key to living a better life, right? Is enjoying every step along the way, enjoying your life.
It's like we talked about last week, where it's not the thing that we were waiting for to make us happy. It's becoming aware of the situation and becoming happy first,
Let me mention, as a teaser for a future podcast, that we're going to go deeper. I'm going to keep digging deeper and deeper into these teachings to really give you some things to grasp onto and to put to use in your life. But we're going to talk to you about some scientific research that has come out onto how our thoughts are energy and it creates a reality. And remember the story about the Chevy Aveo, because we were thinking such uncomfortable thoughts about this ugliest car ever made, that we may have put ourselves in a spot where we were behind the truck at that split second where the rock came up and hit the windshield because we were not liking this car. Just as last week, if you recall, you spoke about your discomfort over taking your car on this road trip and how you landed under the cloud where the hailstorm was happening. Now, did your thoughts create the hailstorm? No, maybe not. But our thoughts are energy, and they have so much power behind them that the possibility that those negative thoughts around your road trip put you under that cloud at that moment. Even you said the hail only came down for a few moments. Like, what are the chances? Now, this is a deep concept. I just want to plant the seed with you. Remember, I am a farmer. We're going to plant seeds in your brain. But I want you to start realizing how our thoughts are not just affecting the way we feel. Our thoughts are energy, that they are things that go out there in the world. And we're learning more and more in research about how our thoughts create situations around us. So that's an even more powerful conversation that we can't wait to have with you as we go forward in these podcasts. But here's the thing. We are students of our own teachings. We have been researching this for years. We see the benefits from what we are learning in our own lives and the lives of the people we work with. We want to offer you an opportunity to be with us live and have these conversations on a regular basis. So we've created live online group sessions, group coaching with us, where you get live over the phone, over the computer, every month, having these conversations about how you're using our teachings, the challenges you're having with them, the benefits you're having with them, and keep learning as we're learning to utilize these tools to the best of our ability, for the best of your ability, to create an incredible life.
It's also a great opportunity to connect with like-minded people who are kind of on the same journey, right, of wanting to better themselves and become more aware and find that joy within themselves. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
We have dedicated our lives to helping you achieve a greater life with greater success, more fulfillment, contentment, joy, peace, love. It is possible for you. Look where I've come from and where my life has landed, and it continues to expand and evolve. And we want the same for you. We're going to stick with you until you achieve the same results that we are experiencing and our clients are experiencing. So go to SanaView.com, do a search on group coaching, and get on with us. We want to interact with you on the call. It's live. It's also recorded if you can't be on live, so that you can listen to the previous recordings. These conversations that Nathan and I have every week are so powerful, and it's helping us advance our lives so much more dramatically because we have each other to talk about these things. And that's why we're doing the podcast for you, and that's why we're doing the live group coaching for you. Join us, please. We want to work with you. We want to see you, and we're going to stick with you until you have success.
Absolutely. I think the last thing that I want to mention is you talk a lot about this book that you have that's coming out, right? And I know that we had talked about making it available for pre-order on our website. And so for anybody who is interested in finding out more about this book, it will be available on SanaView.com within a couple of days of this podcast going up. So you will have the opportunity to pre-order it before anybody else and get your hands on a copy as soon as it becomes available.
And of course, at a discounted price, since you'll be an early adopter. Stressless success is the key. When you learn to live with less stress, you learn to look at your challenges and the things that cause you stress in a different way. It opens you up to unbelievable possibilities, opportunities, solutions, everything in your life that you're currently maybe blocking. Success is success in every area of your life, and that's what we want for you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Nathan.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We love you. Have a great day.